We are live. This is Atheist Republic. We're going to be covering the news. I'm here with Susanna and Rivka.
Hi.
And I see people in the live chat. I see Katie. I see Ali. I see Queen Fabi with the fat Armin profile pic.
Telling you that you're rejected by Mossad.
Mossad rejects the Armin. Finally found a way to trigger me. Maggie is here. AJ is here.
You're gonna give them what they're looking for?
AJ is saying audio is good. Dolly is here. All right.
Do we have anyone on Facebook?
On Facebook, not yet. Yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah, there we go. Scott, I think the audio is good. If we have audio on YouTube, that means we have audio on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Casey is on Facebook as well. Cool. All right, let's get right into the news.
Yay!
First, can I clap for the first news?
First news. Okay, guys. Like we talked about last week, I promised you that we are going to give you updates on the situation of atheist, feminist, ex-Muslim activist Zara K. So we have an update for you. Okay, so update on the arrest of atheist activist Zara K. in Tanzania. Ex-Muslim and feminist activist Zara K., the founder of Faithless Hijabi, was arrested in Tanzania on December 28th, where she was held in police custody without clear indication of charges for 32 hours, after which she was released on bail. So that's just background for those who are unfamiliar. So the update is that she returned once more to the police station on January 6th and is currently awaiting a court hearing. The local authorities appear to be focusing on the charge of not returning her Tanzanian passport after gaining Australian citizenship from amongst the original 3 charges that were levied against her, which also included social media posts critical of the government and the use of a SIM card belonging to a family member. Simon Siro, the Tanzanian police chief, informed the BBC that Zara is now only being questioned over her citizenship status. Since she obtained Australian citizenship in 2018, Zara has not used her Tanzanian passport, and regardless, Tanzanian passports like hers have been made invalid for over a year. Sources on the ground believe that the charges against Zara were initiated by some members of the Koja-Shia Ithna Shari Jamaat community. Whilst in police custody on December 28th, Zara was asked about the work of her organization and why she left Islam.
So this is like, seems like they're using other excuses to pressure her. This is, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but this is a standard tactic a lot of governments use because they know if they come after you for your activism or for leaving Islam explicitly, then you're going to get a lot of human rights organizations to deal with, and you're going to get a lot of support. So for example, in Turkey, you have somebody that was an atheist activist, and instead of going after him for his atheist activism, they went after him for having an illegal balcony in his apartment. And people are like, if you want to go defend the guy, people are like, oh, what do you think? You think ex-Muslims or atheist activists shouldn't have to follow the law? Like, they keep on trying to find ways to pressure them. And if you want to defend them, they're like, oh, you guys are trying to make it seem like it's about atheist activism or religion, but it's not. But that's exactly what the government is trying to do in some cases like this.
It's judicial harassment, basically.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a good name for it. Yeah. Rivka, you wanted to say something?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, if you can find something that is seemingly legitimate or seems salient when you first, mention it, but it's really not, it's specious. So it's a way to get the person in and question them about all kinds of things that you say is tertiary to this particular charge. And it also makes it look like you're doing something to the people that are pushing you to somehow silence this person, punish this person, so it kind of serves like a dual purpose for people, because it's not really the blasphemy or anti-Islam, but you're also looking as if you're taking action.
Yeah, AGA is raising the point. This is true. So Zara has had to report to the police station daily, and it's still not, finalized what she's actually going to be charged with, although the police chief has indicated that they're mostly interested in the citizenship question, because for those who are unaware, there's one extenuating circumstance. Basically, you cannot be a dual citizen of Tanzania and another nation. And so, there's kind of this, they're presenting it as if because she lost her Tanzanian passport, that she was maybe falsely presenting herself as a Tanzanian citizen. But since she's only ever used her Australian passport since she gained citizenship there. And Rivka and I were speculating, this is purely speculation, about why the other two charges are not looking like they're being pursued any further. And Rivka and I were, before the show, speculating that it may be because the charges of, not having a SIM card registered in your name or criticizing the government on an international lens looks so bad for Tanzania. They may think that pursuing this citizenship question may look more legitimate to an international audience, since we've called for international attention and international media has been paying attention to this situation. So yes, moral of the story is, well, not moral of the story. What we need from you guys is we need to continue to put pressure on the government of Tanzania, and also call on Australian authorities to up their pressure as well. We need Australian authorities to get more involved. And so if you guys go to the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain and look at the second update that they presented for Zara, they provided a ton of information on all of the Tanzanian and Australian authorities that you can contact. So I've been sending emails to authorities, and I highly encourage you guys to send emails to authorities. If you have an honorary consulate, a consulate, or an embassy in your area, or just the closest one to you, give them a call and ask them to step up. Yes?
I also wanted to say, if you go to my page, Community Secular Alliance, and you ask, we have a private group you can join specifically about Zara. And on there is a template letter that Susanna and I kind of put together that you can use. And actually, you know what? Maybe I'll pull that off of there and send it to you, and you can put it up on the page. And it's basically, because sometimes people aren't sure what to write. This kind of gives you an idea. And I also know that, for example, in the United States, there's no way to email the Australian embassy unless you know a diplomat personally, or you have some reason, some email for someone at the embassy. They don't do emails. You have to call them. So that's something, you could mail them an actual letter that you could do, which, sure, go ahead and do that. I would encourage that. But if you want to speak to them in the here and now, on the quick, you need to call. And they're pretty responsive. I've had pretty, good conversations with them. The 3 times I've spoke to them.
Ghost Bunny is saying, great job on activism on her behalf on putting pressure on Tanzania. It's not over yet, but it looks like they're getting worried about pushing those other charges. Yeah, I mean, if I was a police chief and the BBC was calling me, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is on a different level. Yeah, do you guys have any? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, a lot of times it's also a calculation. What do they think they can win on?
Yes.
And this, I'm guessing they think they've got some leverage or standing or something, even more than the SIM card thing. So,
yeah.
All right, let's go to the next news.
Really quickly, I just want to say, so reach out to those authorities. And we need the Tanzanian authorities to give back Zara's passport so that she can return home. That's one of the sticking points right now, because we just want Zara safely returned home. So, yes.
And thank you guys for being so on top of all of this. This is amazing. And now, by the way, the more we do this, the more we're going to have a model. Not us, like all the atheists and the ex-Muslim community. Every time we do this, we're going to have build on the experience that we had for last cases, and learn how to proceed more efficiently for next cases. But
and AGA is using the hashtags that you should use when you're on social media, which are Justice for Zara K, Justice for Zara, and hashtag Stand Up for Zara K. So thank you to everyone in our community who has done a lot to help mobilize on this issue. I really appreciate it.
All right, can we move to the next news?
Yes.
And I cannot. Let's not clap. Next news.
Okay, next news. Indian comedian arrested on accusations of blasphemy in Madhya Pradesh, India. According to the police, Mumbai-based comedian Munawar Farooqi is alleged to have, quote, mocked Hindu gods and goddesses during his show. The Madhya Pradesh police arrested and booked the comedian for alleged derogatory comments about Hindu deities on Saturday, January 1st, 2021, NDTV reported. Authorities responded to Eklaya Guar's complaints, the chief of a Hindu nationalist group in India, by lodging a first information report, or an FIR. Eklaya Guar, who is the son of legislator Malini Guar, who's the mayor of Indore, I'm sorry about how I pronounce things, reported to NDTV, quote, as soon as we came to know about this program, we bought tickets for the event, and we found that he, meaning Farooqi, was making fun of Hindu gods and goddesses and the home minister, as he has done in the past. So that's from the leader of a nationalist Hindus group, just being very offended. After the show, Farooqi was reportedly roughed up by members of the Hindu nationalist group. This became a really big story in India, and a lot of people asked us to cover this because I think comedy is one of the most important sticking points for free speech. Comedians are often on the cutting edge of pushing culture and what is acceptable in culture, and they are so important in highlighting the absurdities within our cultures and our oftentimes our double standards. And it shows, I think this situation demonstrates how severe the lack of free speech situation has gotten in India. And do you guys have comments on this?
I was showing a video. Was that a video of him being arrested, like in the middle of him delivering a joke?
Yeah, he was on stage when they're like, yep, we're pulling you off.
Wow. Okay, and what is this tweet? So there's a tweet by this guy named Armin, got like 1,000 comments and almost 3,000 likes. And it's saying comedian, I don't know how to say his name, Munawar Farooqi was beaten by Hindutva mob during his show in Indore. After that, he was arrested and no action has been taken against the attackers. So he was beaten up and the attackers were not arrested. He was arrested for the joke.
Yeah, no, I've seen video of him, or at least what I believe to be him, getting just beaten around the head.
And they're saying, no, he was not attacked for his jokes. He was attacked for his name. I don't understand that part. What does that mean?
They're saying just because he's from a Muslim background.
Yeah, because they can tell he's Muslim based on his name.
Okay. So great. India is becoming a little bit more like Pakistan every day, hey?
Good news for Hindus.
Good news for Hindus.
No.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
Good comment from Bubble. For those who don't know, Bubble is our sexy Cali lawyer. We have lawyer friends in India, guys. So our local lawyer is saying India has now declared a full-on war against its stand-up comments. Whether it's blasphemy or contempt charges, they're going after everyone. And Swampnil is saying, no, okay, that's how I'm gonna say your name. It's saying it's especially traumatizing for me because he's my friend. This is the 4th time someone close to me has been in trouble in 2020 alone. Wow, I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah. Oh, Selva Kumar also has a good comment. A YouTube channel was booked for blasphemy and how their videos were moved last year. This makes India look as bad as Pakistan, as we were just saying. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. And
Wait.
then
Okay. Can I clarify? Not as bad as Pakistan. See, I'm very careful with my words. Okay.
they said it makes it look, not that it is as bad.
Okay. But I also say India is becoming, because people are like, oh, really, Armin? India is like Pakistan? Are you serious? Are you sure about that? I'm like, I didn't say that. I said it's becoming a little bit more like Pakistan every day. Did I say is that as bad as Pakistan? Maybe you should try listening before criticizing. But yeah, Katie.
Katie's saying also, from what I heard, he's actually an ex-Muslim atheist, not even Muslim. Not sure about this claim though. But then Bulbul is saying he's a practicing Muslim but very liberal.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes people can't tell the difference.
Oh, and then the police beat up his friends too. Cool.
Wow.
Cool.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight this news, one, because there are so many members of our community who really want us to cover this and highlight the situation. Two, because a lot of people in the Atheist, well, not a lot, there were some people in the Atheist Republic private group who were getting butthurt at me highlighting this, probably because they were feeling a type of way about the way this makes India look. Three, also because I have a certain soft spot in my heart for blaspheming Hindu goddesses now. And when someone is coming after my fellow blasphemers, I have something to say about that, especially in India. Okay?
Yeah. I was thinking about if there's anything we can do to help, but then I realized that I don't know if you want help right now from Atheist Republic. We are the number one blasphemers of Hindu. Like we are the number one blasphemers of Hindu gods and goddesses right in the world right now. So yeah, I don't think if this guy, I don't think this guy wants to be associated with us in any way.
I mean, we will more specifically, Armin got atheism trending in India for the first time because of it, and we still need to do a whole stream about how recently an FIR was filed against Twitter India itself months later because of you. Thank you, Bulbul, again for bringing that to my attention.
Yes, we need to do it. Why are we not doing a stream on that? We need to do a stream on
next week. Let's do it. And I think, and the fact that the Indian government has blocked our website on some, not all, on some internet service providers, I think we can claim that we are the number one. We're not the first, but right now I think we're number one.
I really want to highlight this because I'm triggered about it. We are becoming what Pakistan was. So this is a Facebook comment by Summit. He's saying we are becoming what Pakistan was in 1970s. Well, that's what happens when we make friends with America. Yeah, sure. Don't take any responsibility for all the problems come from America. No country is responsible for any of their own problems or misery. It's just like all America. Just blame everything on America.
Speaking of, Sumit, who can't listen, said no. I always say his name wrong. Ambedkar was number one. You should check on this. I didn't say literally. I did not say ever. I did not say first. I said currently.
Yeah, you guys don't know how to. You guys don't know how to listen. And your profile picture.
I heard one of. Okay, so that means there can be more than one.
Exactly.
No, currently we are number one.
Currently number one. Bulbul coming with us with the legal news. Thank you, Bulbul, saying he's getting a lot of legal help, but his bail was rejected. That's what's really BS about some of these charges. I don't know. I can pull it up. I believe one of his charges was under 295A, and I believe that 295A is non-bailable which is absolute BS. I could be wrong though, because I'm not an Indian attorney. But guys, India, and then the thing is, the apologists always come and say like, oh, well, you know, it was the British who introduced these laws, and they were introduced because of basically communal violence sparked by Muslims over a book, you know, long story. And so it's the British and Muslims' fault, basically. I'm like, but you guys kept it on the books and you're using it for your own advantage now. So I can still hold you accountable for that.
All right, we do need to move on to the next news, unless Rivka has to say something. No, okay, next news.
Okay.
Can we clap?
Yes, it's really good.
Yes, next news.
Next news. Nigerian state declares war on female genital mutilation. So in Oyo, or OU, Nigeria, the Nigerian state of Oyo has declared war on the prevalent cultural practice of female genital mutilation, or FGM. FGM is classified as procedures involving partial or total removal of the external female genital organs for non-medical reasons. Dr. Millicent Ogun, a state representative for the Center for Population and Reproductive Health, made a public declaration speaking out against the practice of FGM at the Female Child Harmful Traditional Practices event, a community engagement of traditional religious leaders held in villages across Western Nigeria. Dr. Bushrat Oloso, a state president for the Federation of Muslim Women Association of Nigeria, stated that, quote, to end FGM, we must do 3 things. Educate the entire society on the aftermath, consequences, ill health attached, disadvantages, and untold challenges known to all. Secondly, inform and advocacy projects raising voluminous public awareness on what victims of FGM face in their marriages. Wait, what's the third one? And in part of this project, some young adults were trained as FGM surveillance teams and community champions to conduct door-to-door advocacy to local households with the end goal of terminating FGM. So, congratulations to the state of Oyo in Nigeria.
Yay! Hopefully one day we'll move to also declaring war on all form of circumcision, male and female. But this is a good step forward. Yes.
Mazel tov, Oyo, Nigeria. Good job.
Yes. I mean, better late than never. I do want to mention that I'm very disappointed with our live chat that has not noticed that we have brought Atheist Republic news back to our website. You guys not seeing that I'm showing you the articles on Atheist Republic because of our Patreons? I mean, I'm not disappointed because you guys are literally funding this, especially our members. So now I take it back. The people who are members in our YouTube live chat and also our patrons, because of you, we managed to bring back Atheist Republic news. And look, now when I'm highlighting the articles, it's on Atheist Republic, and we have the embedded tweets, and we have like the sources. Oh, we need to have like link. So Susie, make sure somebody links to where this is coming from, right? Like right now I see a tweet here, but there needs to be hyperlinks here to where this information is coming from. So we need to do that as well.
Yeah, I know we have other ones.
Yeah, cool.
But yes, one other thing I wanted to highlight in this article that I thought was really interesting was this Dr. Millicent, that's quite a name, Dr. Millicent Ogun, highlighted how there's a lot of side effects to FGM that people don't think about. So he talks about how it's a shockingly common reason for divorce in Nigeria, probably spurred on by the lack of sexual urges that come with it, the many health disorders that are associated with the affected genitalia, how this can lead to difficulty in childbirth, and then just overall marital disappointments. And he said that this harmful practice holds a high percentage of reasons for separation among affected spouses, which I thought was really interesting. Like, that's not something I would have thought about. And that's obviously not the first thing that I'm worried about when it comes to FGM, but that is a side effect that I had never considered. And I think that is something that is important to consider, like how this affects so many different aspects of your life that can be kind of inescapable.
I think that that's also a good way to try and work on how to change the culture and the mindset of people who had this performed on them or had originally thought they were going to do it to their daughters, or what the perception is because if you make it known that it has these tendrils in so many different areas, I mean, it's human nature sometimes not to realize how some bad or good something is until it affects you personally. So that is, it's a good methodology to try and overall get it into everybody's concept. It's not just bad for girls, but how it's bad overall for family, community, relationships, whatever.
Yeah, or also kind of to inspire maybe a little bit of self-enlightened interest from men. Yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to highlight and something I hadn't considered before. And I really love that it is a Federation of Muslim Women who is really heading a lot of this activism. Do you have any comments on this, Armin?
No, let's go to the next. Oh yeah, by the way, just one comment. If it's Muslim women leading this, give credit to the individuals, yes, not the religion. The religion itself endorses FGM. The people are good because they're better than the religion. Give the credit to the individuals, not to the religion. Do not defend religion, even if religious people do good things. Anyways, let's continue.
Yeah, I was just highlighting that because I thought it's really...
Yeah, I wasn't...
Great to see. No, I'm just clarifying. I know you weren't saying that. You know, women who are probably among the most likely to be affected by this really speaking out. So are we ready for the next news?
Can we clap?
No.
Maybe we could do a gentle clap. Next news.
Oh no. Next news. Indian Muslim husband of Hindu woman criminally charged. Take a quick guess at where this took place.
Wait.
Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah.
Every time you say guess, I didn't need to check. I know it's Uttar Pradesh, but go on.
Yeah, God. I mean, UP just being really the... I don't know if I can even say that.
UP is Upper Pradesh, you have to say that.
Yeah.
You explain to people like this is basically the most Hindu. A lot of all this headache and nonsense is coming from the most Hindu province in India, which tells you a lot about what you need to know about Hinduism. When people say like, "Oh, Hinduism is great," yeah, sure. Look, less Hinduism in India, less problems. More Hinduism, more problems. But yeah.
It's a very hardline state, I would say. If you are looking at kind of a little bit of a model for a Hindu ethno state, just go look at UP, and you soon discover that it's exactly what Katie was saying. Uttar Pradesh is literally mini Hindu Rashtra. Yeah. It's not a good model of what a country or state should be like. And then Silva Kumar is saying UP is like the Alabama of the US, or I've heard it's like the Florida, because there's a lot of crazy, just like bonkers news that comes out of there. Anyways, let's get into this news. Okay. Last month, Priya Verma, 29, of Uttar Pradesh, wed a Muslim man with the Hindu rituals and her parents' blessing. The couple previously dated for 2 years before deciding to marry. Privately, before they wed, Priya's husband revealed that he is not a Hindu man named Rahul, but a Muslim named Tawfiq. The two discussed how Tawfiq was planning to convert to Hinduism so that he could be accepted by her family. Priya introduced her husband to her parents as a Hindu man named Rahul Verma, knowing that they would never approve of her marrying a Muslim. But now her husband is in jail under the Uttar Pradesh anti-conversion law, which is the state's contentious quote-unquote love jihad law, and for fraudulently concealing his religious identity by posing as a Hindu to marry a Hindu girl. She expressed that she is desperate to reunite with her husband. How can I get back to him? She asked. Meanwhile, Priya's father reportedly pretends the marriage never happened as he continues to search for a Hindu man to marry his daughter.
So now it's not just Hindu girls marrying Muslim men, but it's a guy who's pretending not to be Muslim and is going to convert to Hinduism, or you're not allowed to just not say you're a Muslim, is basically what this is about. Is like it follows you. You can't leave it.
Well, they say
according to the government of India too.
Yeah, I mean, at least the government of this province, but according to a lot of Hindus, I mean, I tell this by personal experience that there, as an ex-Muslim that had to deal with a lot of Hindu backlash, who are a lot of Hindus, not hashtag not all Hindus, but a lot of big anti-Muslim bigot Hindus. They say to me, once a Muslim, always a Muslim. They tell me that being a Muslim is in your blood,
Literally.
that it's in your DNA. You can't get rid of it, and you're cursed. But hey, YouTube, I'm not saying that. This is what has been told to us. And basically, they already see this is, for them, this is part of your identity, and you are to be, attacked no matter what. Like this, they see this as something hereditary, like in your. They see religion as part of, they can't separate religion and ethnicity. And sometimes, even if you are not born a Muslim, if you're like one of the part of the ethnic group that is associated with Muslims, like if you're an Arab or I don't know, if you're Persian, they say like that's problematic. You're like being a Muslim is in your blood. So
you're Muslim adjacent.
Yeah, I mean, no, they literally say it's in your blood, and they say like, oh, once a Muslim, always a Muslim. Like they say, and they also say this about other Abrahamic people with Abrahamic backgrounds. Like they call atheists who were used to be ex-Christian or ex-Jewish or ex-Muslims, they call them Abrahamic atheists.
Or they just call you. I've been called an Abrahamist.
Abrahamist, yes. And they think like you deserve hate, no matter what. So it's really, but Muslims, like they really do hate Muslims, and they don't. Yeah,
I was going to say it's interesting how once again you have people who are either, who are doing the work of Muslim fundamentalists for them, and also because a lot of fundamentalists, Muslims say you can't leave. It's who you are. You can't undo it. And when people convert to Islam, they say they're reverting back to what their state should be, their natural state, the better. So I find it really interesting is that they're very bigoted towards Muslims, but yet they seem to have similar the fundamentalist level of how everything's all or nothing and no one's ever allowed to leave.
They
Go ahead.
Yeah, before you read it, I do want to say that because they really hate Muslims so much, they did flirt with the idea of celebrating ex-Muslims, and we ended that parade because we went. Because especially they were celebrating, for example, my video of desecrating the Quran, and they loved it. But so there were two camps, or like one's a Muslim, always a Muslim, and the other camp was like, oh no, look at these ex-Muslims attacking Islam, we love it. But then when we went after Hinduism, and we also defended Muslims, because they don't understand, like when we attack Islam, we attack the idea, the ideology, but we protect Muslims from discrimination and human rights abuses, even though we attack, even though we don't like their views. So they realize, okay, no, these guys are not our allies at all, especially once we started with blaspheming against Hindu gods and goddesses. They were like, okay, yeah, no, those other guys that are saying Abrahamic atheist or like Islamic DNA, Islamic blood, once a Muslim, always a Muslim, they all like, yeah, we regret ever defending ex-Muslims. We're going to jump on that bandwagon. So that's how it works, apparently.
Katie is saying the courts have said that consenting adult couples cannot legally be separated, and separating them is unconstitutional. But this is India. People care more about traditions than law.
But again, a lot of people, and Katie is not, that's true, but this is, a lot of people keep saying, oh, Uttar Pradesh has this law, but that's unconstitutional. As if it's like a computer program, and just because it's unconstitutional, it's just automatically going to not get, enforced anywhere. Like even in a country like United States, when you have one of the states having a law that is unconstitutional, it might take years for it to get challenged, to take it from one court to the higher court, and then it's a nightmare to even, just because something is unconstitutional doesn't mean that it's just going to be like auto delete, right? So in India, it's even more challenging to remove something because it's against the Constitution of India. But yeah, go on.
I was chatting with Bubble about exactly that, and I was like, just asking questions about like what is it going to take for this to be overturned, because this is just so clearly unconstitutional. And I can't recount our entire conversation, but it's long, and it's going to take a long time, and it's not going to be easy. And then you have to worry about the temperature and attitude and culture of the courts at the time, and whether they'll want to hear certain cases at the time and even look at this. It's really terrible. And this story just makes me like so sad, because he was willing to apostatize from Islam and convert to Hinduism for her. Like that itself is that's not to be taken lightly, right? Especially in certain communities. And that
you would think they would love that.
Exactly. But
I don't get, it's not even that. It's that he must declare himself a Muslim and receive the discrimination accordingly. He can't circumvent it by saying, oh, well, I'm going to convert to Hinduism, so I'm going to present myself as a Hindu. No.
Yeah.
There's no escape from it.
And the police even recognized that Priya knew that Tawfiq was a Muslim, but claimed that she herself gave a statement against him. And then she, however, Priya says she testified against Tawfiq before the magistrate only because she was being pressured by her parents to testify to their allegations. And then when secretly talking to a reporter, she was just feverishly like, how can I get back to him? Like, so sad. They've been in each other's lives for like 2 years, and now he's in jail. They had a Hindu wedding. Like,
and that's the other thing about this law, is it's not just targeting, people who are going to get married or people who got married, since the law was enacted. No, they've got a 2-year look back. They're going and finding people who were married. So what is it next? Is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be 10 years? Is every single marriage in India potentially on the chopping block here?
Well, let me clarify. They've been dating and known each other for 2 years. They got married like last month.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
This is not all of India. This is Uttar Pradesh, I think, only. Yeah.
Sorry, you're correct. You're correct. Yeah. But still, the fact is, if they're going to start looking backwards at all these things, how far are they going to,
Under the new quote unquote anti-forced conversion law or ordinance, you have to have approval, pre-approval, extra approval above any other type of marriage from a magistrate up to a month to 2 months in advance. Where
Right.
other marriages aren't treated like that.
Right. So I understand there's like two categories, but if you have to have pre-approval, well, if you got married before there was such a thing, you see what I'm saying? It's as if they're just trying to slowly sort of tear something open so they could get in there so that every marriage is now a potential problem for, this faux air stats love jihad.
Just a correction. I keep saying province. I should be saying state. I'm Canadian, so we refer to them as provinces. But apparently, for India, it's not provinces; it's states. Okay, so Uttar Pradesh is a state, not a province. I do want to mention that just because it's a state, one of the states in India, that doesn't mean like people are like, oh, it's just one of the states. Yeah, it has 200 million as a population of 200 million, right?
It is the most populous state in India. Or no, yeah. I think it is the most populous state in India, and it is also the state with the highest percentage / population of Muslims in India.
Really?
I believe so. I believe he told us that the number of Muslims in Uttar Pradesh is larger than the population of Argentina.
Oh, is that true? Can we double check that?
I might need to double check that, but I remember being like,
because that would be like you have imagine having the Muslims, most of the Muslims in that most anti-Muslim province.
I believe that part is true.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, can you check that? By the way, 200 million. That's like one of the states in India has 2/3 of the population of the entire United States. So like this is affecting these policies. Like, oh yeah, one of the states in India is now against interfaith marriage. Oh, okay, one state. Like we're talking about 200 million.
Oh my gosh! Wait, Armin, Katie was right. The population of Argentina is like 44.5 million. The Muslim population in Uttar Pradesh is roughly 44 million.
Holy crap. Wow. Yeah, Dahlia is saying, wow. Yeah.
That was an estimate from 2018.
Gee, god damn it. That is crazy. So in the most Hindu state in India, the Muslim minority population has more Muslims than Argentina.
Well,
like these are almost the same. These are astronomical numbers. So guys, when we talking about human rights and fighting for secularism, this whole Uttar Pradesh has a law against interfaith marriage. It's like, yeah, we're talking about a country, we're talking about a state as big as almost like 2/3 of the United States. Like this is not, I don't know why this should be the highest priority. This stuff needs to be highest priority of any global secular activist. Like this is insane. Like imagine the number of people that are suffering because of these laws.
Dahlia is so cute. She's saying, what?
Yeah, I mean, wow. Guys, this is why you come to Atheist Republic, because we cover the stuff that is like really affecting the highest number of people when it comes to secular activism. Like, who else is doing this for you guys?
It's honestly, I believe it is an international scandal that the whole world is not talking about how 2 Indian states have now essentially brought back anti-miscegenation laws, and there is similar bills and laws are being proposed in, I believe, 3 other states as well. It's severe. They're essentially bringing back miscegenation. And I know, obviously, religions are not races, but the comparisons and similarities are just so, like, just bald on their face. I don't know what else to call it. Like,
this is a good comment, if it's true.
Sintat is saying UP has the largest Muslim population, but highest Muslim percentage is in Assam, which is 35%. That makes sense. According to Wikipedia, the roughly 44 million Muslims in Uttar Pradesh account for 19.3% of the total population of UP.
Oh, here Katie is giving us another interesting fact. Just a comparison: the entire population of California is 40 million, which is 4 million less than the Muslim population in Uttar Pradesh. Why are they even?
California.
Why are they moving? Not moving to a less? I mean, moving is very difficult, but 40 million Muslims are living under the most anti-Muslim government after India, after China. Yeah, so yeah, guys, like if you want us, look at us. We're in an anti-Islam atheist channel who are talking about defending Muslims in the most hostile places to be Muslims on a per capita basis more than Islamic channels do.
Yeah.
God damn it.
That's true. True.
True.
Murtad Skeptic is saying, even if religions aren't races, I have a friend who is half Islam. How dare you? Even if religions aren't races, they seem to be treated that way, especially with cases like this, where you're treated as if you're born in it, you're born with it, and you can't change.
It's very interesting because they think it's in your blood, but they have the same. The Hindus and the Muslim have the same ethnic background in India. They're not like Arabs and Hindus. They're like the same people. You guys are the same ethnic. Oh my god, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. All right,
You're literally, it's like same ethnicity, y'all. Yeah.
I know. By the way, I know it's like people like, oh no, Armin is diverse. Yes, it's diverse. But even Pakistan and India, even though they're both diverse ethnically, it's the same. It's the same diversity. It's the same makeup of the same. Oh my, you guys are just
Tribal.
Yeah. Even China has less Muslims than Uttar Pradesh. That's crazy. Even China. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's. Oh yeah, Katie's saying, oh, sorry, I was wrong about the earlier comment. So the China one, ignore the China comment. Anyways, we do have to move to the next news.
Mhm.
And you might, Susanna, is this a clappable news?
Ooh. Yes, but there's a curveball.
Okay, so yes, but okay, so I'm gonna guess that it's not. Based on the title, a lot of the people might be tempted to be like, "Oh, this is great news."
Exactly.
But this is Iran we're talking about, so I'm skeptical. We'll see. Okay.
Let's give a clap for Islamic Republic nonsense.
Next news. Okay. All right. Let's do this.
Iran's government approves a bill to combat violence against women in Iran. The Iranian government has recently approved a long-standing bill that aims to protect women against domestic violence. On Sunday, January 3rd, cabinet ministers supported the draft bill titled, quote, Protection, Dignity, and Security of Women Against Violence, end quote, which has been pending since former President Mahmoud
Ahmadinejad. Even I can do that one.
Damn, guys. Since his administration. The bill defines violence as, quote, any behavior inflicted on women due to sexuality, vulnerable position, or type of relationship, and reflects harm to their body, psyche, personality, and dignity, or restricts or deprives them of legal rights and freedoms. The bill also details the creation of a fund by the judiciary to assist victims of violence and help incarcerated women. But Human Rights Watch said that the bill, quote, falls short of international standards as it does not criminalize some severe forms of gender-based violence, such as marital R and child marriage. I'm saying R as in R-A-P-E, okay, because YouTube doesn't like that word. Okay, so this bill does not criminalize marital R and child marriage.
Right. The legal age in Iran has been increased for girls from 9 to 13. So.
Yay.
I mean, that is progress. I don't know. It's hard to celebrate. It's hard to be like that. Is say it's such a hard thing to comment on, because you can at the same time it could be like, well, I'm glad a whole bunch of 9 and 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds are not going to be ARD. Okay, again, we're saying R because we can't say the real word, because here not non-consensual, intercourse. So we're gonna be we're happy about that, but we can't be. It's hard to celebrate something because like this, because that means like 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds are still being. And again, in Iran, you having sex without consent with your wife without consent is not considered R, right? So yeah, I mean, that's horrible. So I guess, like, how do you address something when something was extremely horrible and is still extremely horrible, and it's a little bit less, it's somewhat less horrible than before, but it's still extremely, like, do you celebrate it? Do you condemn it? If you celebrate some progress, are you endorsing where it is right now? Like, what's the proper way of addressing this? I do also want to say that there's an idiot in the live chat who's saying, sorry, I'm calling you an idiot. It's Al Jazeera. How can you even expect this to be true? Well, this is true. So if you actually go look at the story, you will go do some research. This is a true story. So you're wrong, and your comment is idiotic. You have committed the genetic fallacy. Maybe go look it up before you embarrass yourself further. Anyways, what do you think? What do you guys think? How do you respond to this?
Yeah, also, like, we can acknowledge the bias of our source and still talk about the things that are factually true. Oh my god. Thank you, Suha, for providing our little lexicon here, a little legend. Rivka, you go first.
So, being that the bill is saying it's aiming to protect violence against women and their dignity and their emotional and physical and, mental health, it talked about in terms of anything that inflicts harm, their psyche, their personality, their dignity. So, due to sexuality, what it's telling women is that once you become married, any of those things, you don't have that protection anymore. Yeah. If something inflicts harm on you, your physical body, your psyche, your dignity, that doesn't matter, because you've lost the protection of a personhood once you become married. Now you're just an adjunct to or property of this man. And so it's very sad. And it's also saying that to children or girls girls between 13 and 18, that their particular type of trauma isn't considered actual violence that inflicts trauma on their psyche, because if it were, it wouldn't be because it's like two different things happening at the same time. They're saying they want to deal with this, but in these specific situations, they're not. Yeah, so here's where it's okay.
I want to highlight. So, Miriam Namazi actually quote tweeted us reporting on this news. And I thought this was a very salient point, saying government that is the main source of violence against women approves bill to combat violence against women. #Iran. So by their definition that they give about violence against women, about any behavior inflicted on women due to sexuality, vulnerable position, type of relationship, inflicts harm on their body, psyche, personality, and dignities, restricts or deprives them of legal rights and freedoms. I was like, sounds like your regime, bro. Like...
Okay.
This type of relationship, well, that's not true, because a marital relationship is a type of relationship. So,
all right, I have some commentary, but before I do that, I want to say Swab. I don't know how to read your name, but the guy that I just basically called an idiot, saying, "Sorry, guys, I apologize." No, okay. I'm sorry. No, it's not okay. I'm sorry. I was too mean to you, and you were so good at accepting criticism. Oh, look at this. He said, "I'm sorry." Oh, that is very sweet. I mean, sorry if I was too harsh. I apologize. Should have come.
No, who you should have gone off on was a Hindu for Power guy who said that it's a jihadi network. Okay, Hindu for Power. We can easily call you an idiot. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you come out and apologize as well. But you are actually, based on your own name, you are the Hindu jihadi source of information yourself. Anyways, let's. Okay.
Bovine jihadist.
I do want to have some. Here's what I think is the best way to address these things. Okay, if somebody is torturing you, okay, and then they torture you just a little bit less, you can celebrate the fact that they're torturing you less without congratulating the person that is torturing you. Do you know what I mean? So, acknowledging, like, you could, for example, if Iran increases the age of marriage from 9 to 13, okay, you could still celebrate the fact that there's a whole bunch of 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-olds who are not going to be suffering, okay? Celebrating that does not mean that you are congratulating this horrible regime, okay? And that you're not going to be pushing for increasing it from 13 to a higher number, okay? You're going to continue to push. You're going to continue to condemn this government. You're going to continue to shame them. You're going to continue telling them that this is not nearly enough, that they're far behind the rest of the civilized world, while at the same time being happy. Just being happy that there's some people are going to be suffering less is not an endorsement, and it's not a congratulation to a horrible, fascistic, backward, violent regime like the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Gogo Doll is saying, I'm very concerned that these reforms are in order to reduce public pressure and thus are a very tactical political move and not a humanitarian one. Very
yes, of course.
That's very, very likely.
But the thing is that
like
that
the MBS playbook is.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the MBS. Exactly, that's the MBS playbook. And what that means is that
reform
public pressure works.
Yes.
That we have to make that when means that when they do respond to public pressure, when you get even a small win, instead of like, oh, we got to win, less public pressure. No, like, oh, we got to win, more public pressure, right? More, that means more public pressure, okay? Because it shows that it works. Anyways, do you guys want to add anything before we go to the next news?
No. We can clap for this one because this is just
next news.
Next news. Irish archbishop denounces comedy sketch accusing God of RAPE, okay? Or R for short. Again, we're using coded language because of YouTube. Irish Catholic primate bishop, Eamon Martin, has called for a local on-demand television service, RTE player, to remove an outrageous clip broadcast during a New Year's Eve countdown show. The 23-second clip was a comedic skit that parodied cable news coverage. And it said the following, quote, in yet another shocking revelation this year, God became the latest figure to be implicated in ongoing sexual harassment scandals. The 5 billion-year-old stood accused of forcing himself on a young Middle Eastern migrant and allegedly impregnating her against her will before being sentenced to 2 years in prison, with the last 24 months suspended. End quote. So that was the skit. Archbishop Martin took to Twitter to express his views and stated, quote, to broadcast such a deeply offensive and blasphemous clip about God and our blessed Mother Mary during the Christmas season, quote, on program and on the eve of the solemn feast of Mary, Mother of God, is insulting to all Catholics and Christians, end quote. He also expressed shock at the insensitivity of the directors and producers involved in creating the skit.
Boo-hoo.
So I think this was really funny because they're taking a shot at Rivka's playing silent violin. So if you guys are like paying close attention to this, so they're saying they're basically taking a shot, one at God, and then they're also taking a shot at light sentencing in Ireland, because they're saying, for this crime that this guy committed on a young Middle Eastern migrant, impregnating her against her will, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison with the last 24 months suspended. So that means he got off with 0 total. And this was followed by a sketch and commentary on Harvey Weinstein. So they're comparing God to Harvey Weinstein. And I thought this was hilarious. And then the Irish Times reached out to the producers for comment, and they're like, you're not commenting. Like, we don't care. Oh, Dolly is saying that Rivka's cute. Mm-hmm. Oh, you love to see it. Yeah, I thought that this was hilarious. Like, the news coverage was really funny.
And actually, that sketch is an old joke that I used to tell about God wanting to go on vacation, and that's the punchline. He can't go anywhere after they suggest Earth. He can't go there because 2,000 years ago, he got some Jewish chick, and they're still blaming him for it. So it's kind of funny that's like this. I truncated the joke, but also the fact that he's saying it's blasphemy. Well, to you, maybe you don't like jokes about God and Mary. Well, then turn it off and just say, I don't like that joke. No, and then move on.
No, Rivka, it's so funny because they make the same joke in the sketch. So while the newscaster, this parody of a newscaster, is reading what I just stated, as the report was read, footage was shown of a bearded older man in a white robe wearing glasses being escorted by police outside of Waterford Courthouse to a police van and protesting, that was 2,000 years ago.
You're muted.
I'm just saying it's my joke. Like that's a standard joke. And also, I mean, sorry, but like, whatever. But I just think it's funny that they use that joke.
Yeah. So this news skit item was followed by a mock report on the U.S. film producer Harvey Weinstein, sentenced to last year to 23 years in prison for R and other sexual offenses, who it claimed, requested a retrial in Ireland. So they're making the joke that, they take it so lightly in Ireland, or that people who commit those types of crimes aren't held accountable as severely as they should be, to the extent that even Harvey Weinstein is like, oh, I should try to get a retrial there because I'll probably get off. I thought that this was like, one, hilarious, blasphemous, pissing off Catholics, love it, and also some very good cultural commentary.
I can't wait for us to get to a time where you make jokes about Islam and Hinduism, and the jihadis and the Hindutva can do nothing but what this guy is doing. Come and cry about it. Like, that there is no, your accounts are not going to get lost. People are not going to go to jail. People are not going to go to prison. A mob is not going to show up at your door. You just have like this guru or this guy showing up on TV. I'll be like, this is so offensive. Why? Look at what the world. Like, and we just have an article and we laugh about him. That is like so butthurt. Like,
yes, the best thing that
they're just limited to a press release. Is impotent.
Yes.
Or so that's the level of butthurt they can achieve.
The best he can do is demand that they take it off the on-demand service, and like, that's it.
All right. Can we clap for the next news? Hold on. Let me see. Can we?
100% no.
Oh.
Actually, wait, no, sorry. I was skipping a news.
Pakistan. The next one is Pakistan, right?
I think we can.
Okay, next news.
Okay, next news. Pakistan Supreme Court orders reconstruction of vandalized Hindu temple. On Tuesday, January 5th, Pakistan's Supreme Court ordered the start of reconstruction of a century-old Hindu temple that was set on fire and vandalized by a mob in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province the week before. The court said that the attack was an international embarrassment to the country. The attack on the temple in Terry village by members of the radical Jamaat Ulema-e-Islam party, a group associated with the hardline politician Faisal-ur-Rahman, drew strong condemnation from human rights activists and Hindu community leaders who represent the religious minority. The justices questioned local officials over how this attack was allowed to have occurred despite the presence of a police outpost next to the temple. The authorities informed the court that 109 people involved in the attack have been arrested. At the same time, 92 police officials were suspended, including the superintendent and deputy superintendent of police who were on duty at when the crime occurred. However, one justice commented that suspension was not enough.
Isn't it Islam? I read this a long time ago. Isn't it Islamic hadith that you cannot repair, you cannot reconstruct temples and churches and synagogues in Islamic land? I mean, wait, I guess you need approval for it. Yeah, so they have approval for it.
Clerical approval or court approval?
I don't know. But no, like that's hadith. There's no clerical and court back then. It was just like whatever the Khalif was saying. I don't know.
Well,
whatever the Amir was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, this is. I don't have any. This is good. Pakistan. Yeah. I mean, let's give it to Pakistan. Let's give credit to Pakistan's government. I do think like this is like another example of one of the many examples to show that Pakistan's government is less extreme than its own people.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair to say. I don't know if I agree with this in the live chat. Somebody was saying, Selva was saying, this news alone makes Pakistan looks better than India.
That's not true.
I mean, but he's not saying it is better than India. He's saying it makes it look better than India. So I think you can use it. I mean, that's not true, though. I mean, India has not even gotten close to issuing death penalty for people who, yeah, like, it's like Pakistan is astronomically worse than, yeah. So here's what we do, okay? This is how bad Pakistan is. That we're like looking at this and like, good job, Pakistan, for for what? I mean, for such, our expectations of Pakistan is so low that this is, we're looking at this as if like, does this deserve congratulations? Like, think about this in any context in any other country, right? If you have a mob showing up, like what Susanna is showing, this is the destruction of the temple, right? A mob showing up and destroying someone else's property, right? And then you're like, the government condemning it. And people are like, oh, wow, good job, government. You condemned a mob destroying a property. People are like, why are you congratulating the government? Like, what did you think the government was going to do? Of course the government is going to come and say, we condemn acts of violence and, you know, destruction of property. Like, like, imagine if we said, like, you know, in Germany, a whole bunch of far-right people came and destroyed the synagogue, right? And then Germany's government came out and said, oh, yes, we condemn this. We condemn this. We're like, wow, Germany's government is actually condemning a destruction of synagogue. So amazing.
Wow.
Like, that's what, I mean, nobody would think that's anything to celebrate, right?
Wunderbar.
No, but the fact that we have to be like, hey, Pakistan, good job condemning destruction of a Hindu temple shows how low the government, Pakistan's government is like one of the worst, right? The only thing that is worse when it comes to extremism than than the government of Pakistan is a lot of mobs in Pakistan. It's these goddamn people. Look at that. These are people that are destroying a temple in Pakistan, right? And so when you see a news item like this, just put it next to the, like, please keep it in context, right? Because as much as we complain about India, okay, Pakistan is by far, not just Pakistani mob like these people here, right? The government is by far worse, right? India is light years away, and I know that's a measure of distance, light years away from being from condemning for issuing death penalty for people who got, like, as all the nonsense that we had to deal with when it comes to the government's reaction in people mocking Hindu gods and goddesses. We just covered a news item that somebody was arrested for making jokes about the Hindu goddesses. It's unimaginable in India for that person to get a death penalty, but in Pakistan, it's just a Thursday, right? Like, death sentences are being passed out like left and right for people
dozens every month.
Dozens,
maybe not death sentences for blasphemy, but charges are being brought against people for blasphemy by the dozens every month,
which is punishable by death. Even though, again, I know none of these death sentences have been carried out yet because the mob usually take care of them for you, and that's why even when the court doesn't carry out the death sentence, releasing them to the public would be a death sentence on its own. That's why these people have to get out of the country. But yeah, you want to say something?
I think that hadith that you mentioned earlier maybe has something to do with why this was vandalized and desecrated and set on fire in the first place.
Yes.
So the temple was attacked by the mob after members of the Hindu community received permission from local authorities to renovate the decades-old building, according to witnesses. The mob had demolished the newly constructed work alongside the old structure. So that I didn't know about the hadith, but the idea that you cannot reconstruct it and they were working on renovating the building, like, that kind of makes sense. Although, like, nothing I've read confirms that that's exactly what happened or the motivation behind it. But this article was really interesting because it talks a lot about how the Evaki Property Trust Board, which is a government board, was basically supposed to be protecting this land, this property, and they didn't. So yeah, the Evaki Protection Trust Board is a statutory board that manages religious properties and shrines of Hindus and Sikhs who had migrated to India following the partition. So and then yeah, so they were saying that this board did not protect the shrine, and so there's going to be a larger investigation into why this board, which is set up basically like to preserve historical landmarks and protect sites for religious minorities, was not doing its job.
You know, Armin, I think I've heard or reference to that hadith when they talk about, like, for example, like Hagia Sophia used to be a church and then it was a mosque, and then there was some discussion about reverting it back, and people were like, you can't, once it's you're not allowed to, or it should, excuse me, should have been destroyed because of this, because it's a Christian place of worship. Sorry, something. But anyways.
No, we got you.
Yeah,
drink some water, girl.
There's a lot of rules and precedents. Like, for example, one thing else I remember is that no church or synagogue. First of all, like, a lot of people are saying that these rules only apply to churches and synagogues. Hindu temples shouldn't even be like, these people are not Ahlul Kitab. They should be all, if you want to be really Islamic, they should all be burned to the ground, and every Hindu should be something that I can't say on YouTube, right? So the rules that they are referring to, some more fundamentalists will say like they don't even deserve this protection, even if they didn't do a reconstruction. That's only for Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Judaism. And also, if you do have churches and synagogues, none of them can be taller than the mosques. Every single church and synagogue has to be below, shorter than all the mosques around. But again, those are all. We did get a super chat by Varun.
Thank you, Varun. Gave us $10 saying Islam has brainwashed these men to disown their own heritage, so they're burning it. I mean, we don't know what their heritage is, but
I mean, he's saying like Hinduism is like. I mean, technically that's true. That is their heritage, their Hinduism and the Hindu temples, but we just against burning of private property, whether it's your heritage or you're not. Yeah. But thank you so much for the $10 super chat.
It's also a historical monument. That was the other thing they said. It's over a century old. So it's not just the fact that it's private property, but it has some historical or cultural value to the area.
Oh yeah, this is called, but I'm referring to is called the Pact of Omar. Yeah, there you go. You guys don't know what I'm talking about in the live chat. All right, let's. Should we go to the next news?
Yes.
And can I clap? No.
No, thank you.
No, next news.
Okay. 30-year-old Dalit man killed in India after intercaste marriage in Andhra Pradesh, India. Adam, 30, belonged to the Madhya Dalit community, recognized as outcasts, while Maheshwari, 24, is from the Kuruba community, which is recognized as a higher caste. Maheshwari says that her family has disagreed with their marriage, so they left their hometown and married in Hyderabad. As they anticipated violence from her family, she says that they even sought out police protection. Maheshwari told the media that despite their efforts, her family continued to threaten them. They had only been married for 7 weeks when 2 men arrived in their neighborhood and beat Adam to death. Maheshwari alleges that her father and uncle killed her husband. And while there are no cases booked against them, while there are now cases booked against them, no arrests have been made in connection to this murder.
That's so sad that they knew this was going to happen, and they couldn't even have their family, and friends around them for the way they had to leave in order to live their own life, and they still. It's just so sad and pathetic that these people just they have a prohibition on joy.
Mm-hmm.
Hinduism is a way of life, though. Hinduism, you guys just don't understand Hinduism. It's just a way of life. It's not harmful like Islam.
It's
except for the dead Dalit guy, it's harmful to him.
Yeah, well, there's some Hindu fundamentalists who don't even see Dalits as Hindus. And yeah, she's very explicit in expressing that the motivation for this is caste discrimination. And yeah, they had to leave town. They were willing to just leave what they knew behind to just be with each other because they loved each other, and they were followed.
And they went to the police, and it looks like, I don't know if they got any protection, but even if they did, they weren't successful in protecting.
Mm-hmm. It says that the police told the family to stay away from them. But they were still receiving threatening phone calls. So a case has been booked against Maheshwari's father and uncle, for murder, as well as, Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act. So for those who don't know, Scheduled Caste Scheduled Tribe is in the Indian Penal Code a way of expressing that you're of a minority or historically persecuted group. like Dalits or certain groups of people who are from a quote unquote tribal community. Armin?
Just want to let you know that if you defend Hinduism, you're defending a garbage ideology that is promoting violence, and screw you. There's no excuse. There's no excuse anymore for defending these backwards, violence, barbaric ideas. And this is because of Hinduism. Anybody that wants to separate caste system from Hinduism is either lying to you or they have no goddamn idea what they're talking about. This is what this behavior is what Hinduism promotes. And this is why these ideologies, all of these religions need to end. I would use harsher language if YouTube wouldn't be striking us
for
down.
real. They beat him with pipes and basically stoned him.
This is because of religion, guys. We here don't exaggerate unless this news is not being reported accurately, which is always possible, right? But we are careful when sometimes somebody does something and it's not because of religion, even though it's horrible. We're like, we don't know if we could blame religion on this, right? But caste discrimination is because of Hinduism. This is because of religion. This is people choosing to use ancient scripture as a source as a guide to life rather than using objectively analyzing what's the best way to live. Okay, this is the cancer that we're dealing with here with India. And again, a lot of people are like, but India is like, we need Hinduism to protect ourselves from Islam. You guys have seen how destructive Islam is. Yes, you're destroying yourself already in Hinduism to protect yourself from Islam. You're being eaten alive from the inside. Hinduism is the real threat to India, not Islam. It's like you're killing the patient so that you can cure a cancer. Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, great job, guys. Katie is clarifying what I was saying earlier. Scheduled tribes, ST, are communities of tribal people who are not assimilated into the Hindu society historically. And then people who are not of scheduled types are called backward class, which confused me. But Swapnil is saying you have to be anti-Hinduism to be anti-caste. Exactly. F Hinduism. And Maggie is saying, I get why you're angry at Hindus, Armin. It's more Hinduism.
I am not.
It's Hinduism.
I am not angry at Hindus. I am not angry at Hindus. I care for Hindus. That's why I don't like Hinduism. I am not angry at Hindus at all. They're the victim. They're the main victim of Hinduism. But yeah.
Katie is saying Hinduism promotes honor culture. Hinduism teaches being dead is better than living in disgrace. Combine them and boom, you get regular news like this one. And then Rainier is saying, I can't confirm this, guys. This is news to me. So be skeptical here. But Rainier is saying, by the way, that girl's father killed himself because he felt guilty for what he did. I don't know if that's true.
Can anybody confirm that? Maggie's saying I meant Hinduism. Sorry, that's okay. Here's the last comment by Katie. Let's read this and then move on.
There's SC and ST. So scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Scheduled caste is for Dalits, scheduled tribes is for tribal people. Or that's what they're supposed to be, but they're a bit more complicated due to politics.
Those are the names that the government has for this when we say Dalit or what's the other one? The tribal people. I don't even hear much about the tribal people. It's mostly just about the Dalits. Unless, I don't know, I haven't been exposed to it as much.
You hear about some Tamil stuff with Tamil tribe, different ethnic group, and some other, I've heard of different tribal areas, but I find it interesting too that the language that they're like backward class, that seems so like old timey and inappropriate, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the verbiage. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me as an American, but I'm learning about this. So, should we move on to the next news?
Look at this idiot. Hold on, just one last thing. Hindus only butter, Hindus, Muslim butter, everyone in the world, even Muslims. First of all, this is not a bad. Yeah, first of all, Hindus are actively discriminating against Muslims in India. So you're wrong. Second of all,
Are you familiar with someone called Yogi A?
yeah, no, that's
Come on,
so
man.
not true. You have no idea what you're talking
Come
about, or
on, man.
you're just lying, or you have no idea what you're talking about. Also, we do agree that overall Islam is a lot more harmful in today's world than Hinduism, right? But that's the only way. That's how bad Hinduism is. Is that the only way to make it look good is to compare it to the most harmful ideology on the planet right now. That's
It's
the
a pretty
only
low
way.
bar.
That's a pretty low bar. Like that's you're comparing a shit sandwich to
At
a
least
devil.
I was gonna say at least it's not. It's exactly what I.
Yeah, you have to compare. Yeah, you're like, oh, look at my shit sandwich. It's not as bad as that double shit sandwich. So yeah. Anyways, let's go to. Can we? Do we go to the next news? Anybody else want to say anything? No. Good. Okay. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
It's not good news, but let's clap for it. Oh wait, we got a super chat.
Oh,
Varun gave us $5.
thank you,
Varun. Saying every year many adults die because of this way of life.
Way of life.
Sadly, 2,000-year-old discrimination. Exactly. That's a very good way of putting it. And
thank you so much for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat. Okay, so let's clap for the next news because no one got hurt. Well, yeah,
no one got hurt.
Okay, next news. Scottish council rejects secular sex education in favor of Catholic teaching. In Scotland, the Western Isles of Scotland have been hit with a fresh dispute over church's influence on public policy after councillors voted to endorse a Catholic manual on teaching sex education for use in schools. A majority of local councillors backed a motion, quote unquote, commending the Roman Catholic teaching materials, which uphold a strict stance against sexual intercourse outside of heterosexual marriage. The vote came after church ministers said that parents were unhappy about government-created materials on sexual health, which taught children about different gender identities, sexual relationships, pornography, and safe sex. Reverend Hugh Stewart, a local minister who lobbied the councillors to reject the government materials, criticized the secular curriculum for suggesting that children as young as 3 could be taught about human genitalia. In contrast, the Catholic material said that 10 was the earliest age for that. Dissenting councillors opposed the vote as quote-unquote dangerous and highlighted how parents already had the option to pull their children from class if they found the program too controversial. So this is just absolute nonsense.
What the hell, Scotland? I thought Scotland was above this conversation.
Well, I feel like Ireland is kind of getting rid of some of this, and Scotland caught it. Almost, like it's very strange. And then also 10 by 10.
Yeah. You can only learn about what is between your legs when you reach the age of 10.
But
because you're not gonna notice. Because you're not gonna notice before then.
There's some things that's a legitimate argument for. Okay, you probably don't want to tell a 3-year-old some of the things about, your body or different things that you might want to tell a 10-year-old because they just don't have the psychological and emotional intelligence to understand it. But you have to potty train those age kids before they're even 3. Like, how do you not? I just don't understand. You just have to talk about your hoo-ha until you're 10 years old.
I think parents, these are like conservative parents that just like are terrified of anything, any conversation to be had with children, and they don't understand just because you don't tell some things to young children, that doesn't mean you don't tell them anything about how the body works. Susanna, you want to say something?
Well, this reverend who has one of the most Scottish names ever, Hugh Stewart, says that so yeah, he says that children as young as 3 shouldn't be taught about human genitalia, which is just like a child can know about their own anatomy. I think some of the other subject matter, like PORN, like a 3-year-old doesn't need to know. I think that is a good education in general, you know, for an older age, but teaching you like this is what's on your body. Like a 3-year-old can handle that.
And
so
3-year-olds ask those questions.
So this is just such a standard attitude, Rivka. Like, get into their reasoning behind this. So, due to being translated into Gaelic, official materials would also put children from Christian homes under pressure to embrace views about gender and relationships with conflicted with their morals and were not appropriate to their age and stage of development, he said. Quote, it's one thing for a child or young person to be educated and objectively informed. It is another to require them to embrace, which infers a tacit support for a view that contradicts their own morality or faith position, he said. So isn't that just like, it's so classic. It's so classic. Like, they're so predictable. It's absolutely, it's oh, you're muted, Rivka.
Christian children aren't allowed to embrace secular material or learn about it, but other children who aren't Christian or Catholic can certainly be forced to embrace the Catholic worldview because that's what's happening.
Yes.
With their new. So it's, and really it just seems like they're still going on this very disproven theory that they've been working on for hundreds of years. It seems like if you don't talk about things, children won't know about them and they won't do them. And that's just not true.
Yeah. I appreciated the comment of some of the dissenting counselors. So counselors angry about the vote denounced the decision as Ghost Bunny as dark and dangerous. But council officials insisted the motion did nothing to change policy since it allowed teachers to use a variety of guides based on their judgment and local policy. Councillor Angus McCormick, again, another just beautiful Scottish name.
Hibernian to the core.
Yes, my people. So he is the educational convener and former math teacher at a local school, the largest secondary school. So all these counselors are expressing an opinion which is driven by their own personal beliefs. Counselor Norman MacDonald, again, just chef's kiss, attacked the vote as lunacy and said current policy already required teachers to check with their head teacher and parents if they wanted to use the controversial materials, and allowed parents to remove children from class if they disapproved. LGBT campaigners in the Western Isles fear the vote will nonetheless put schools under heavy pressure to shelve or delay more progressive, inclusive lessons about gender and relationships, and embolden people critical of teaching official materials to complain.
I like this comment.
Salva Kumar saying, Scotland, I thought you were better than UK. You were the chosen one.
Never give up your freedom.
Yeah,
Scotland.
Oh, wow. This is really interesting. Once dominated by conservative and highly orthodox Presbyterian churches, including the Free Church of Scotland, the Western Isles still observes Sabbatarianism, which forbids work and play on Sundays. The current council is all male. So that gives you a taste of how conservative this community is, that this part of Scotland still observes, like, in law, forbidding work and play on Sundays. That's very hard line. I think it's the infiltration, and it's the counselors really inserting their own beliefs into the government and saying that these like secular educational materials are like putting children in this position where they're corrupting their morals, and how are they gonna like these children have to infer tacit approval of these secular materials. Like, it's just, oh my gosh. Trells is saying to the people, saying WTF Scotland, the Western Isles Council, which is the UK equivalent of a municipality, has a population close to 27,000 out of a population of 55 million. So yes, it is a relatively small community.
But this shouldn't be allowed, though, for them to just not have to go. I mean, isn't it like, I don't understand how UK does education, so I'm not going to comment.
We got a super chat, actually.
Oh, we did? Oh, wow, we forgot. Yeah, right.
Swapnil is saying, thank you for the 40 rupees, Swapnil.
Thank you.
Saying, I made a comment about Indian tribals. Read it, please. Well,
you should have just posted the comment here. We can't just scroll all the way up and find it. Why wouldn't you just put the comment in the super chat?
But thank you for the 40 rupees.
Thank you for the 40 rupees. Why wouldn't you just use the super chat for the comment? Oh my god. Amazing.
Hey, you live and you learn.
Thank you for the super chat. Maybe if you post it again. Oh, here. No, this is another comment about, guys, we moved on to the next news. You guys are still commenting about lower caste and upper caste?
And he said it was because only 50 characters are allowed. Well, actually, if you increase the super chat, you can increase the characters that are allowed. But obviously,
if you just post it again, we might read it at the end of the. I don't know. We're moved to the next news, though. All right. Yeah. Here, some comments about this news, actually.
The people in Ireland had the same problem with Catholicism, and they started the IRA, which is now a Terry labeled group in Ireland. Yeah, well,
okay, let's not do the slippery slope fallacy, though.
Yeah, that's a huge. That's way more complicated. That's way more complicated.
Yeah, so we're not gonna go like, yesterday they wanted Catholic sex education. Tomorrow they started like getting guns. Like, yeah, that's like a major escalation that I don't think is gonna happen.
I mean, that was a lot of like identity based stuff, and
that was British and Irish and Northern Ireland and the control over it, plus add the famine and the forced conversions and making people take the soup, which means convert in order to get a meal. So there's a lot of other factors.
Jimmy Boy is saying, in Scotland it's dangerous to say what religion you are and even what football team you support. Glasgow Rangers versus Celtics go to Protestant versus to Catholic. So you're saying the Glasgow Rangers are the Protestant team and the Celtics go to the Catholic team. Gun violence is many here.
Okay. Let's move on to the last news.
And it's fantastic news. So we can give it a big clap.
Next news.
Although there's some twists that I don't think we'll agree with.
Wait, this is very relevant to the last news. Yeah, go
on. Same-sex marriage is now legalized in Switzerland. On December.
Wait, can you do it again? Start from because our editor needs to cut properly, and I interrupted you reading the title. So do it again.
Okay. Last news: same-sex marriage legalized in Switzerland. On December 18th, 2020. The National Council of Switzerland voted 118 to 60 to legalize same-sex marriage and authorize transgender people to legally change their gender identity. These laws help promote These laws help promote equality for the LGBT plus community by imposing criminal penalties against those who display homophobic or transphobic actions towards LGBT plus people. The same punishment for demonstrating racism against others. These charges may result in a 3-year jail term. With the legislation approved by Parliament that Friday, trans people can finally change their gender identity by applying at a civil registry offices. Switzerland will be the 8th European country to allow trans people to legally change their gender without requiring approval from a doctor or a court. This process is known as self-ID, according to transgender advocacy groups in Europe. So I was actually surprised that same-sex marriage wasn't already legalized in Switzerland.
Yeah, what the hell? Switzerland?
They're very conservative, actually, in a lot of ways, particularly the way they run their country. Everything's old style. They want to keep the Swiss culture, the Swiss, way of life, they would say, the way it's always been, and they're very restrictive on certain things. So it actually doesn't surprise me that they just hadn't gotten around to it even.
It surprises me. Maybe you're way more aware than I am about Europe stuff. Switzerland votes for same-sex marriage. Like, what the hell? Like, they're behind on this? So behind.
Yeah.
Like, you have a European country that's behind United freaking States? Wait, they're behind United States on this?
Yeah.
What? This is weird. I didn't know this.
I mean, this also made me realize that I was like, I have a very different standard for Western Europe, obviously. This was like that shocking to me.
I don't know about the laws though, in regards to like being homophobic. Like what is the
yeah, that's what I was referring to when I said we might disagree with some things, because I was like, wait a second.
Okay, just have anti-harassment laws for everyone. Why is it like just have anti-harassment laws? Cover everybody. Like I don't understand why do we like.
Well, that would fall under like a hate crime that you might have, and another what they would consider a hate crime versus just a regular crime.
Okay, so it has for hate crime to be a crime. It has to first be a crime, and then you could maybe penalize. There's arguments for why it needs to be punished more than just a crime that is not a hate crime. Okay, but you cannot have something to be not a crime, if depending on the target, and a crime. So, okay, so for example, if I punch somebody in the face because they owe me money, that is not a hate crime. But if I punch them in the face because of their skin color, that all of a sudden becomes a hate crime. But either way, it is a crime to punch somebody in the face, right? But then if I say something mean about Susanna because, I don't know, she owes me money, that's not a crime, okay? And then if I say something mean about Susanna because she's bi, if that becomes a crime, I don't think that's right. Yeah, because I don't think that makes sense. Like, it can't be not a crime in one situation and then a crime in another situation. Well, I do see the point on making the punishment for something that is already a crime higher if it's a hate crime. I see that. I mean, I don't know if I agree with it, but I see the argument. I see there's some good arguments for that, because because if I, for example, punch Susanna in the face because she owes me money, then then the crime has been committed only against Susanna. But if I punch her in the face because she's bi, I have created a very hostile and a threatening environment for everybody else that is bi. Okay, so maybe it makes sense because the crime is now against an entire group of people. It makes sense. I see the point for why you should maybe make the punishment for that higher, even though it was the same action, right? I don't know if just saying mean words about somebody, if it's not a crime in one sense, why should it be a crime if you're saying it because it should be shamed, it should be highlighted, people should be like receive a lot of public backlash and pressure. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm open to change my mind.
Well, I think your point's valid, because what if like you say bad things about vegans,
right,
or people with short hair, or fat people or skinny people? So those people, it's not a crime to disparage them or to use pejoratives, but it is for other groups.
It's not equal protection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I give some more context to this? just to clarify some things. So Matthias Renard, who proposed the law, celebrated its success. Posting on Twitter, he wrote, quote, "Victory. The National Council accepts my parliamentary initiative against homophobia and transphobia. It's a great success for human rights." And there was some other stuff. Following the vote, Renard said, quote, "Homophobia is not an opinion. It's a crime. 1 in 5 homosexuals attempted suicide, half before the age of 20. This victory sends a strong signal, and I have already received hundreds of reactions." Okay, I think that's, I'm, as someone, I mean, not that my inclusion or not in the LGBT community matters in terms of if I'm allowed to have this opinion, but because I am, I would just like to say I think it is insane to call homophobia a crime.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible, it's vile, it's
Yes.
disgusting. It should be condemned, but it's not a crime. It shouldn't be a crime. Just like racism. Racism is horrible. You can't just be like, you can't make it a crime. That's like thought policing. Just
What's
because
a crime is the discrimination
Yes.
Right.
against someone
Is-
or the deliberate, incitement to violence against a particular group or minority. Those are crimes. But just disliking someone or thinking they're bad, or that doesn't seem like that's something that you could criminalize.
You shouldn't be
with
able to-
any success either.
Yeah, because now you're giving the government the authority to do thought policing, right? You should actions, thoughts and words shouldn't be illegal unless you're scamming somebody or you're like, there are some situations, but like opinions shouldn't be criminalized. It should be condemned, but it should be mainly actions that are criminal. I don't know. Maybe is that what they're doing, Susanna? Like, are they actually making it so that if I go in Switzerland, somebody comes and says like, I don't like these people, is that going to become a crime? Is that a crime now? Is that what they're moving towards?
It's because I think it was Norway who recently made biphobic and transphobic speech. They expanded a law that made it punishable by several years in prison for public comments. So it sounds very similar to that, although in terms of like some of the verbiage around these things, that's not entirely clear to me. However, I did want to clarify some things about this law. So, and what we are shocked that this wasn't legalized earlier. And so Reuters is saying Switzerland has lagged behind other parts of Western Europe on LGBT plus rights, with political institutions tending to be more conservative than the public. So just to highlight that, one more thing. So technically, this isn't fully legalized yet. The gay marriage law is likely to be tested in a nationwide referendum throughout this next year before it takes effect. But rights activists said that they expect it to secure more popular support because the population is more liberal than the government. So just to be clear, if opponents of this law, they have 100 days to collect 50,000 signatures needed to trigger a referendum. So this could be opposed, and this will continue to play out throughout the next year.
Yeah, and the details might be different than what we assumed.
And one more thing. So this would make Switzerland the 29th country to allow same-sex marriage if the law, which also will let lesbian couples conceive using sperm donation, comes into force.
Okay, so I do want to mention that another thing I think is that if you do have homophobia or racism or transphobia, if you make it illegal for people to even express these ideas, you're going to make it very, very hard for us to tackle these ideas, because you're not even going to know that they're there. And by just making it illegal, you're not going to make them go away, right? However, I also do want to mention, as a skeptic and as a utilitarian, I am very happy to change my opinion on all of this because I'm a consequentialist. I don't make these decisions based on principles, but rather than consequences. And I want people to be as happy as they could possibly be. So if anybody proves to me like, no, Armin, you're wrong. The best way to fight against homophobia and transphobia is this, and if you could show it, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong, and this is the best strategy. We got a super sticker or super chat with no comment, $4 from Gogo Dal. Thank you so much for the super
Thank
chat.
you.
Rivka wants to say something.
So the thing that unnerves me about any of these kind of laws that say, having a bad opinion and expressing it, not discriminating against someone, not hurt, just saying, I don't like group A, or I think they're bad or wrong. The thing that bothers me about that is the definitions. Who's deciding what's homophobic or what's this or what's that, and where's the line? And these questions, and who decides, and where's the line? Is it fixed? Is it mutable? Is it always wrong if you say it like this, but not wrong if you say it this way? Or does the line move? And if the line moves, how does one know whether one is committing a crime? And people's impression, what one person may perceive as derogatory or racist or homophobic may not be the same for everyone. And so you're creating this situation where it just seems that you're kind of setting yourself up for future generations to decide certain things are off limits to say. And there's a body that can decide that, and they can, change what's off limits or on, or not. And I find it disturbing in terms of how do you, where does it end and where does it go?
Especially like in the case of Norway, they have had a precedent of this, I believe, since the 80s towards the lesbian and gay community, and then they expanded it to bisexual and transgender community recently. Go check out the whole stream that Armin and I had on that a couple of months ago. But the precedent that they set is that you can be imprisoned or fined for years for private comments. Like, that is so scarily authoritarian to me. And I don't know that that's what's happening in Switzerland. Like, let's be clear. But I don't like that there is that legal precedent. And in fact, it is a disservice to like liberals like us, because it puts countries in a situation of being very hypocritical. And it when it comes to issues of blasphemy. And it that becomes actually a thorn in our side when we are speaking about our rights to free speech in regard to blasphemy, because then religious people point around and they point out the hypocrisy. I mean, some are just kind of nonsense, and they say like, oh, you're making LGBT your religion, which is like, oh my god, that's not what we're getting at. What we should be just criticizing us on the different standards that are being applied in law. But yeah, I'm a free speech absolutist, so.
All right, just we got a super sticker from Subhankar, 20 rupees. Thank you so much for that. Gogo, who gave us a super chat earlier, saying they are trying to cover it up instead of fixing it. And Ali is saying harassment laws already cover people if someone is getting harassed by speech. And also, this person who was trying to trigger me, I think, Kartik is saying, as a comedian, I would love to make a joke on Armin mom's virginity. Well, Kartik, here's the first step for being a comedian. You should try not being the joke yourself. True. Because nobody can be a mom if they're a virgin, okay? So try to understand how biology works before you actually even attempt at making a joke. So there's that. Here, Jimmy is saying something. Do you want to read this one before I go up? And
Jimmy is saying politics, religion, sexuality, carry on, be happy. The line is drawn when they try to force, pressurize, and control what I can and can't do for myself. and ram their SHIT down my neck.
If you guys don't have any other, do you guys have anything else before about this news? Because I want to. Okay, Rivka.
I just want to say one more thing to what we were talking about calling, saying something negative or using pejoratives versus actually inciting violence. There already are laws, like, and then she was mentioning harassment versus, so I find the idea a slippery slope, and I find it dangerous that people's thoughts or personal opinions, which can change, by the way, and do change, can be now criminalized.
And they're very rarely changed through means like this.
Well, and that's the thing. And if you want to have better ideas, the only way is through, bad ideas go away through better ideas. And if you make it so people are afraid to say what they really think, then those things go underground and they fester, and it's difficult to know where that is and how to combat it. And it's difficult to help people change opinions or to have discussions, because really discussion is all you really have when it comes to that. And then the other thing that's very dangerous about these laws is, even if you agree with them, it sets a dangerous precedent, because now you have the government has set a precedent that they can criminalize thoughts or speech. And they're not going to take that away if they decide, who's the next group or when. It's going to be there forever. And other governments can now criminalize other ideas or speech.
All right, guys, we need to make sure we finish this in the last 5 minutes. I just need to highlight Soha found the comment that we wanted to highlight. I lost it again.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Soha. Okay, so here. No, that's not it. Soha managed to go. Okay, I'm going to scroll all the way up. There we go. Soha is saying this is. So look, Soha went and found the comment for us. Amazing, wow. Soha. Saying, here's the comment. The condition of tribals is worse. They are being hunted by the government alive like animals in the name of fight against Maoist guerrillas. Okay.
Also known as Naxalites.
Naxalites.
Oh, so they're being persecuted on the pretense of political dissent, is what they're suggesting.
Look at Soha going and finding the comment that we wanted to, and look, and Silva is saying Soha is such a darling for the work she is doing in the
seriously.
She is amazing. Yes.
Seriously.
Anyways, thank you so much.
This is why we call her Saint Suha.
Yes, our Saint Suha. Amazing. Oh, look at that. It's so sweet. All right, guys. That was our last news. Thank you so much to Susanna and Rivka. Susanna for preparing all the news, and Rivka for, I don't know how, having so much background information on almost everything, it seems, and providing us with her amazing commentary. Thank you. But yes, thank you, guys. And make sure you subscribe.
It's part of my world domination thing.
Oh, and also, wait a second.
Oh, wait a second.
You need to subscribe to our newsletter, because we used to say that we only love you if you're subscribed, but now we only love you if you subscribed and you sign up for our newspaper, because you get a PDF copy of Armin's best-selling book on Amazon, Why There Is No God.
Yes.
Look at how sexy all of us look next to this book. Okay.
Yes. So yes, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free PDF copy in the welcome email. So subscribe, link in the description. And guys, look at this. We got a $5
Rivka posing.
Rivka is amazing. $5 super chat from Ghost Bunny, and it's a fox clapping and saying bravo. Thank you so much, Ghost Bunny. That's nice. All right, guys. Bye. See you next week. Subscribe and share the video and hit like and all the bell button and everything. Do all the things.